Hello there. How's it going, everybody? I thought I'd go live and talk about some comics news that we got going on. So, Dark Horse Comics is returning to Star Wars, which is a big deal. It's huge. Dark Horse Comics was like the go-to for Star Wars comics for all of the 90s and the early 2000s. And now they're going to be in charge of the all-ages stories again, which are currently under the purview of IDW. Doing stuff like Star Wars Adventures, High Republic Adventures, etc. And then Marvel, of course, is taking care of the main lines, like the actual Star Wars and the actual High Republic flagship series. This is official, yes, and I have an article that I wanted to read here. Let's take a little look, shall we? Also, Mate, Grand Admiral Gamer, hello there, welcome. New Star Wars All Ages line coming from Dark Horse Comics. This was exclusively posted to Screen Rant 3 hours ago, or 4 hours ago now. This is brand new. Screen Rant is excited to exclusively announce that the Star Wars comic universe is expanding once again as the franchise returns to Dark Horse Comics. New stories are coming from all eras of the galaxy, and while titles have not yet been provided, fans have a lot to be excited about. Instead of sacrificing beloved stories, fans will be getting a plethora of stories from across the publishing world. Dark Horse Comics began publishing Star Wars comics in 1991. However, a few years after the Walt Disney Company's acquisition of Lucasfilm, Marvel acquired the publishing license for Star Wars comics. This 2014 announcement, which took effect in 2015, took Star Wars comics back home, as Marvel was the first comic publisher of the franchise in 1977. Now, Dark Horse will have its own welcoming home, sharing the ability to publish new Star Wars stories alongside Marvel Comics, which IDW formerly shared to help kick off the High Republic era. Yes, it's absolutely worth noting, and I'm glad that it's the first thing mentioned here, that Marvel did originate the Star Wars comics back in '77, and Dark Horse, although we have such a high nostalgia for it, only really started doing their thing in 1991. Which, of course, 1991 is like the formative time period for people my age, so. Dark Horse Comics, in collaboration with Lucasfilm and Disney Worldwide Publishing, is announcing a new line of all-ages comics and graphic novels. This line will expand the Star Wars galaxy beginning in spring 22. It will include adventures set in the High Republic, as well as the rise of the First Order and eras in between. This announcement is rather unexpected, but will likely be highly welcome among fans. Absolutely, I'd say this is a highly welcome announcement, although it is worth being said that I really have been enjoying the IDW all ages stories. I don't think they're bad. For example, Monster at Temple Peak, the part of the High Republic Adventures, just came out yesterday, the 4th and final issue. That was an awesome story. Mike Richardson, the founder and CEO of Dark Horse Comics, says, Dark Horse Comics is a rich history publishing Star Wars comics and graphic novels. Star Wars is near and dear to all of our hearts, and I've been a fan since I saw the original film 19 times during its original release. I am thrilled that Dark Horse will once again bring new stories to life from this incredible galaxy, and I'm not exaggerating when I say we can't wait to bring these new adventures to fans of every age. Michael Seglain, the creative director of Lucasfilm Publishing, adds, all of us at Lucasfilm Publishing are thrilled to be working with Mike Richardson and everyone at Dark Horse on comics and original graphic novels set in a galaxy far, far away. There are unlimited storytelling possibilities for all ages comics, and we look forward to collaborating with Dark Horse and with the best writers and artists in the industry to bring those stories to readers and fans all over the world. It all sounds very promising. Richard J., absolutely. Dark Horse Comics, I should phrase this correctly, right? Somehow, Dark Horse Comics has returned. It is like everyone is going to have the exact same thought that I had the first time that I heard this. Was like, oh my god, we're going to get that level of storytelling again. When you think about 90s Dark Horse, I think about stuff like how edgy it was. It was more gritty, it was darker, it was a little more violent sometimes. They kind of pushed the envelope, and the comics had a lot more mature content in them. That's not what this is going to be. This is going to be High Republic Adventures and Star Wars Adventures just being published through Dark Horse instead. So we're going to get that awesome logo back on there for nostalgia's sake, but I don't think that the storytelling is going to harken back to like 1991. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're still going to be getting... It's very much like all ages stories. Like, if you've read Star Wars Adventures and compared it to Star Wars, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's still going to be people like Daniel Jose Alder and Kavan Scott writing them. It's just the publishing house is changing. Beginning with Dark Empire in 91, frickin' love Dark Empire, Dark Horse Comics was the home for Star Wars comics for over 20 years. During this time, the company released numerous comic series, including The Old Republic, by John Jackson Miller, love that one, Knight Errant, Knights of the Old Republic, as well as tie-ins to the prequel trilogy. It has maintained rights to publishing some titles, including The Art of Star Wars Rebels, and the upcoming art book, The Art of Star Wars Visions, yes, based on the Disney Plus series. I can't wait for that book. Thus far, no titles have been revealed, nor any details, but the option Star Wars comic fans have available to them is going to expand once more. This year, Star Wars began its transmedia initiative, the High Republic, across novel publishers and comics. Now this initiative is expanding even further, along with other timelines in the Star Wars galaxy. With the expansion of the franchise on Disney Plus, the re-release of the Old Republic video game, and now new comics from Dark Horse Comics, the new and veteran fans of the franchise have a lot to look forward to. New details about the Star Wars publishing expansion will be available in the future from Dark Horse Comics on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook before launch in spring 22. Okay. This is big news, guys. Yeah, Kevon Scott writes about half of the new stories. He's really, really good. And then, of course, Charles Soule. I don't know if Charles Soule has done anything for Adventures. I know he's been mainlining that the Star Wars and High Republic series over at Marvel, but I don't know if he's done any IDW stuff. It's worth pointing out, it is mentioned that IDW is going to continue to release the stuff that's currently in, has previously been solicited. But I think that after that time, like once High Republic Adventures reaches the end of the number of issues it was greenlit for, it's simply not going to return, and then we'll have the Dark Horse replacement. So totally Shadows of the Empire joint media campaign. That's totally like what's the word? Like the prototype of all of this, and it's since expanded into this huge just transmedia thing, High Republic spanning everything, and you know that they're aiming for games, movies, TV series, as well as just books and comics. Like, this is not going to be just a text-based media, if it all goes well. And it looks like it is. I think the next phase of their, like, testing the waters for this new era is going to be The Acolyte, which is Leslie Headland's Disney Plus series that she's running. Hashtag save Dash Rendar. Dash. Oh, fucking A. Yeah, Dash Rendar is also, I think it's Galaxy of Heroes that he's being added to. Let me just pull up a news article, see what it was exactly. Yeah, there was something in here. Galaxy of Heroes, I believe. He's being added as a playable character. Maybe not news. Yeah, where's the picture that I saw? Look at this. Look at this thing. Dash Rendar coming in. For Galaxy of Heroes. Like, that's amazing. He's prepared for anything. Scoundrels under Dash's leader start the battle prepared and gain bonuses based on their role. In Grand Arena, Seeker missiles. Okay. He's got synergy with Kira, Young Han, Vander Chewie, Young Lando, and L3. This is cool. I haven't really played Galaxy of Heroes. I don't know much about it, but this Dash Rendar inclusion is something to be applauded. Like, fuck yeah, Shadows of the Empire getting its day. Inspiration. We're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm with characters from across the franchise. Dash Rendar was the first character we wanted to do in celebration of that. He is the protagonist of 96's Shadows of the Empire, a multimedia story from Lucasfilm that included a soundtrack, novel, toys, and a video game on the 64. Yep, see, that's what you're talking about. That was that first media crossover that they really kind of... This was the prototype, and it was so successful. They've done like smaller versions, and now they're really ramping up to give us something big. Now, this is very, very cool. Nice. His shoulder pads are 1996 kinetic absorption panels. 1996, the year Shadows came out. That's hilarious. I know, right? Bro, I remember what I was doing in 1996. Like, I do shifts at a bar sometimes, and I gotta card people and let them into the bar. Like 2000. You were born in 2000. You can come in and drink now, and that's crazy to me. It makes me feel so old. Oh, snap. Richard J. I hadn't even considered that possibility. I assumed that this was just like a nice little nod down memory lane because of the 50th anniversary and everything, but you could be right. They could be slowly just like testing the waters and be like, yeah, Dash Rendar is coming back in live action in the Book of Boba Fett. That would be ridiculous. It would be a good place for him, you know? Random underworld denizens. He could be like grounded on Tatooine for some reason. But yeah, I'm super excited to get some more Dark Horse comics up in here. I think that is going to be absolutely awesome. Especially when you consider the fact that, I don't know, most of us, people my age, you know, really started getting into Star Wars comics in the 90s. Dark Horse would have been that opening for you too, you know? Brutal. Totally brutal. Man, I fucking love Nathan Explosion. Is he canon? Blazecap, are you sure that he's canon? Because Steve Perry's Shadows of the Empire was like effectively replaced with War of the Bounty Hunters. That is like the new canon version of that. And so Dash Rendar is very much missing in action, unless you know something I don't. If you've heard something, then I'm definitely gonna check that out. Yeah, man, I fancy Dark Horse too. Dark Horse is great. And a lot of that is the nostalgia factor that we grew up reading these comics. Like for me, Tales, Star Wars Tales was a great one. Tales from the Jedi. Empire was awesome. Some of them were really over the top. Some of them really pushed the envelope, like a Shadow Stalker. You guys remember Shadow Stalker? Nuclearis, how's it going? I'm here talking about the breaking news that Dark Horse Comics has returned. Yes, starting in spring of 22, IDW is no longer going to be publishing the all-ages Star Wars comics, and instead it's going to be going through Dark Horse Comics, just like the olden days, just like in the 90s. Dash chilling at the Tashi station. Yeah, he's been there. He's been there for ages. Oh man, no, I'm excited for this, and I also don't want to like raise my expectations too high, because it's not like we're going to be getting Shadow Stalker Part 2, you know, or like Dark Empire Part 3. They're going to be giving us more High Republic adventures, more Star Wars adventures, and things within those same veins. Still, it's just going to be nice to be able to collect them again and have like brand new publishings that don't all have the Legends title on them. Some of these are going to be canon, and that's awesome. Followed by Rogue Squadron. Ooh, yeah, no, I think all of Rogue Squadron are going to be chilling at that Tashi station until further notice as well, Richard J. I'm very sorry. Yeah, no, the Tashi station, that's going to become like the Star Wars equivalent of Gendry's little rowboat. Every time a character got forgotten on Game of Thrones, they were added to his rowboat, just rowing and rowing. So like the Tashi station is where like Star Wars properties go to be forgotten. So like Cara Dune's at the Tashi station. All the Rangers of the New Republic are all hanging out over there with Dash Rendar. Like everybody. Shane Thomas Donovan, as I live and breathe. Hello there, friend. I haven't seen you in a long time. Hope you've been well. Yeah, this is very exciting. I woke up all kind of just like, ugh, this morning, and then I saw this news that Dark Horse was back, and like immediately, like this jolt of energy came into me. I was like, I have to stream about this. This is important, because if you know my channel, you know that I host Comics with Katarn, and that I love some Star Wars comics. It's a big highlight of my week getting to read them, and so it's just like a little cherry on top. I don't really think that this can be considered a statement of quality in either direction, you know, because I think that IDW does a great job. But it's just that little nostalgia point on top of the fact that, like, you know, we're already getting good content. I'm glad to hear it, and I'm glad to see that you're still watching, man. Trapper Wolf chilling on Tashi? Nah, Trapper Wolf's not chilling. Trapper Wolf will survive the shelving of Rangers of the New Republic. You know he was going to have some FaceTime in that, but Dave Filoni's, he's like, you know what? If this project's gone, I'm going to put my face in another one. So we're still going to see Trapper Wolf somehow. I bet you. Oh, yeah, speaking of Carson Teva, dude. Carson Teva has been cast as a live-action Uncle Iroh in the Netflix Avatar series. How badass is that? I don't know, the more I hear about this live-action series, the more excited I get for it, and that's like a cursed phrase a few years ago, talking about how live-action Avatar is potentially good. because I know that everyone hates the Shyamalan movie. But I don't know, man. The cast looks pretty good. I've just finished book 2 myself. I haven't finished the show yet, but by the time it's out on Netflix, I will definitely be all caught up. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, he's Carson Teva. It's Paul Sun-Hyung Lee. He's the guy from Kim's Convenience, and he was the X-Wing pilot, Trapper Wolf's partner. Yeah, he's gonna be Uncle Iroh, so that's pretty cool. Carson should lead the Rangers. Carson should totally lead the Rangers, but he should also be flanked by Shriv Shagov, Harrison Dula, and a obnoxious, angsty teenager Jason Sindula with his green hair. I don't know how they're gonna pull that off. Alexis Trias, hello there. Good evening or good morning, depending on which time zone we're in here. Off topic, but looking forward to Willow. So much. I know that they confirmed that it's a sequel series. I'm pretty sure that the main kids that we met, one of which is Enfys Nest, are going to be the children of Saoirse and Mad Mardigan, because look at their faces. They look just like a young Val Kilmer and Saoirse. That's my theory. Film Touchdown, you have a Dark Horse Clone Wars comic signed by Dave Filoni. That's amazing. I am super jealous of that, actually. Yeah, no, FNP, Richard J, I'm definitely going to react to, everything Willow related over on Grizzled Wizard. You can bet your ass. I'm super excited for Willow. Grew up with that movie, man. Hell, my band is called Bav Morta. Does Andor take place prior to or after the New Dawn novel? Let's find out, because I don't know the answer to that. Star Wars New Dawn BBY. What year does the New Dawn come out? Yeah, John Jackson Miller. We're talking. What year? What year are we in? Shit, hold on. I just need to add a year to my search term. No, not the release year. Timeline of canon books. Here we go. So A New Dawn came out in 11 BBY. 11 years before the Battle of Yavin. So Andor is going to be after this point. Yeah. Damn, Richard, you were close. Yeah, it's 11. 11 years before. Prologue set during Canon the Last Padawan issue 7, which is a great comic, by the way. Somewhat retconned by the Bad Batch, but what are you going to do? But yeah, Andor is going to be taking place afterwards. So much closer to the timeline of Rogue One, and making it much more likely that we might actually see some familiar faces from Rogue One on the screen. I'm really hoping for a young Agent Kallus as kind of an antagonist role, you know? Yeah, you were hella close. I remember one of the Dark Horse comics where Palpatine got infected with a virus and Vader had to find the cure. Ooh, you're right. What one was that? Was that one in, I think that one was in Empire. Star Wars Empire. Mr. Glass, I feel like since we got Hera in Squadrons, and it was so realistic, I feel like that's like the next, it has to be the next step. We need her like a full-blown live-action Hera. We've gotten live-action Chopper, we've gotten live-action Ghost. It's the next step. Yeah, I think Agent Kallus would be an awesome addition for the Andor show. And they don't necessarily have to have his full arc. They can just let us be satisfied knowing how it resolves in Rebels. Ooh, we could see Kallus wiping out the Lasat. You know, we could see the Lyrasan fight. It would be really cool. I want to see some live-action Lasats. Jedi Fallen Order kind of scratched that itch a little bit with Jaro Tapal, but it makes you want it even more, you know? Who would you cast for live-action Kallus? David Oyelowo has an amazing voice. So it'd have to be someone who's got that silky smoothness going, you know? Yeah, live action Sabine. I feel like Sabine is the character that gets speculated about the most. Before her, it was Ahsoka. Everyone was like, who's going to play Ahsoka? Who's going to play Ahsoka? And now it's like, who's Sabine? Who's she going to be? There was a rumor a while ago that Tati Gabrielle, who I know from... I know her from Sabrina on Netflix, is in the running to be Sabine, along with a couple other actresses too. I could see it. She doesn't really have much acting to do on Sabrina. Like, the parts are, I don't know. I have opinions about Sabrina, but I wouldn't mind it if she was Sabine. I think visually she could pull it off for sure. There were other frontrunners as well whose names escape me. We could see Zeb too fighting with his honor guard amid him getting knocked out. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We could see the moment that Callus takes the bow rifle from him. Like, how cool would that be? And also, it's not impossible for Andor and Zeb to even, they could know each other. They could have met at some point, you know? Like, before Zeb joined up with the larger rebel cell, like, who's to say that Andor wasn't also, like, kind of off on his own like a rebel? We know it's probably going to replace Star Wars High Republic Adventures as ending with issue number 15. Yes, exactly. All of the current IDW solicitations are just going to run until their allotted stopping points, whenever they were finished being greenlit with. And then we're simply going to get, I think, a gap in content. Because it's not going to be until spring 22 that we're actually going to get any sort of publishing in our hands from Dark Horse Comics in Star Wars. So, unless they actually have content, like, queued up and ready to go over at IDW for that amount of time, there's going to be a couple month period where we're only going to be getting Marvel Star Wars. That's kind of my prediction. But like they said in the article here, there's going to be way more information coming on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook before launch in spring of 22. Like, this is an initial announcement. This is breaking news. It's a reveal more so than like any sort of a deep dive. So it is entirely possible that has already happened, yes. By the time that Andor takes place. I'm not really sure how it's going to go. I don't think that they put a date on it, though. Like, and, you know, knowing what they've done with Bad Batch and with Clone Wars Season 7, they've done a lot of retconning of things that are either in comic form or in book form. Yeah, Jesse, I agree. I think we're totally going to get... They're going to start giving us all the information that they can so we can prepare for the moments when there's not going to be any in there. Yeah, absolutely. Lord of Shadows, hello there. Atsu Penki. Fernando, yeah, I'm all over the Doo Doo Films reactions. I actually sat down and I taped them yesterday. So they'll be coming out on Monday. Thank you so much. Yeah, Doo Doo Films is awesome. And I've gotten requests for Doo Doo Films edits in the past. And they always just get buried in my requests. But I went through and I just knocked out a whole bunch of them. I searched them up and just did all of the search results. So, yeah. On Monday, you'll be getting like 4 or 5 different titles in there too. So, because I went through my Discord and just found all the ones that people had dropped in. Stay tuned. Another thing I'd love to see is Boba with his armor in Bad Batch. And maybe some of Clone Force 99 and Andor. Oh, man. Seeing the Batch and Andor in live action. Does Temuera need that much more money? The Bad Batch starring Temuera Morrison, Temuera Morrison, Temuera Morrison, and Temuera Morrison. And introducing Temuera Morrison as Omega. No, that'd be great. This man is going to have so much Disney Plus money. He's got that Book of Boba Fett money, all right? He's got the Mandalorian money. When Kenobi comes out, he's going to have that Cody money. When Ahsoka comes out, he's gonna have that Rex money. And now you want Andor to have 5 fucking Tems for... I'm down. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all about it. Like, please. But how ridiculous would that be? Like, I don't think Django knew. I don't think Tem knew back in 2002 when he was signing on to be, like, the face of a clone army, that was gonna be a reality for him in, like, 2021. That, like, you now play 1 million people based on the same guy. Totally, he's gonna get in the Book of World Records for most characters played in a live-action franchise. 200 million, well on the way. No, absolutely, definitely. Definitely one of the better additions to the new school Star Wars. Like, I don't know if you can call the prequels new school anymore, but I'm so glad that Django is an element that has been embraced and, like, expanded on. And that we're not just telling the story of Boba, we're telling the story of Boba with the context of him being raised by Jango, you know? Like, in the originals, Boba's a mystery. We don't know anything about him, really, other than what we get in the Legends novels. But we know he has a code, and we know he has, like, you know, tenets that he lives his life by, but you also don't cross him, and he's just like this cold-blooded killer character. And then after the concept of Jango Fett, him having a father, all of this other stuff is introduced. Now when we're seeing him, he's like, they're softening him, and they're humanizing him in a way with, like, he pledges his loyalty to Din until Grogu's returned, for example. The changing of the color of the tally marks on his helmet. In Mandalorian culture, yellow, which is the color of the tally marks in the original trilogy, represents revenge and prowess in combat. And when he re-armors his kit, he changes them to red tally marks. And we know from Mando culture that red means honoring your lineage and your parents and your legacy. And I think that that's a subtle way of showing how his character, how his motivations have changed. He's not just out for blood and being a badass. He's out to honor his father and the things his father stood for and try and uphold things like that. But all of this is only happening on screen. They are not humanizing Boba in the comics. Like, Disney Plus Mandalorian Boba is a vastly different guy than the guy we see in War of the Bounty Hunters and in the Bounty Hunters line itself. You know, shooting Ta'onga in the gut, like cutting Bosk's legs off. Like, it's all of these huge, like, varied, like, night and day differences in his character. And what it really sums up is it's pre and post Sarlacc. Boba has a lot of time to think in the Sarlacc, and I think it really changes who he is, and it self-actualizes him. And I'm like, that's a fucking perfect way to woodshed this guy's character, you know? Like, they wanted to change him, and you could tell that this is Disney doing their Disney thing, and they're like, we don't want him to be that much on the edge. We want him to have a little bit more, like, identifiable positivity in there. But this time I actually agree with it. I think they're doing it in a really clever way, because if you're being slowly digested for, as far as you know, 1,000 years, you're going to self-actualize a little bit down there, you know? Like... And Jesse, I completely agree. I think we will see more of his humanity if we get to see him meeting Omega. My question is, are we going to see him meet Omega in the Book of Boba Fett, or are we going to see it happen in a later season of Bad Batch? That's really... It's not an if, it's a when. They're definitely going to meet the Alpha and the Omega. Like, they have to, right? Oh, Mr. Glass. Imagine Omega coming back to Brother Boba with white Mando armor. If she shows up wearing all white and she's like wearing like the Macquarie prototype Boba armor, like how cool would that be? Roberto Santiago. Oh my god, if they gave us more Legacy, if they continued the story of Legacy and Cade Skywalker and everything, that would be incredible. You might want to temper your expectations, though, because as far as I know, we're not getting original content outside of the all ages Star Wars, which would be stuff like Star Wars Adventures and High Republic Adventures. I don't think that Death Sticks-addled, swearing, angry Cade Skywalker is going to make it into the all ages list. And if he does, would we really want that? Do we really want like a rated G version of Legacy? I say wait and let them get some leeway, but hopefully we get that, because if we get that, I'll be over the moon. I love Legacy. Disapproving ass Force Ghost Luke. No, Legacy's great. Victoria's Adventure Productions. Hello there. How's it going? I'm doing well. I hope you are hard at work on your fan films. For those of you who don't know, Victoria's Adventure Productions creates Star Wars fan films, which is excellent. I have an immense amount of respect for anyone who does that. And a post-credit scene of Book of Boba Fett, just a tease, and then we'll see them again in the Bad Batch. That would be cool. That would be a cool way if they kind of like Tarantino it, where we see it happen hella years in the future, and then they go back in time and give us something else, and then expand upon it in the next season of Book of Boba. That would be pretty awesome. It's like Thrawn and Canon. There are a lot of stories with Thrawn in the books, but I don't think that Filoni and Favreau will relate to that in the series. Bits and pieces. They will take certain things and refer to them, and therefore like make them sort of like canon by association, if that makes sense. And they do sometimes like just simply reference things and then borrow the names of things and make them an actual different thing, you know? Like the Nogri, they bring the Nogri in, and he's got Ruch with him, but he doesn't play the part that he plays in, Zahn's original trilogy, obviously. But they brought him in, and the name and the face are the same kind of thing. So we'll get a couple. I was upset when Darth Maul died in your most recent Old Republic. You were upset. I was fucking upset, man. I feel like I brought it on myself. I jinxed it because I was like, I love this. Mar's alive, and he's my companion finally, and we're having a great time. And then, yeah. Speaking of the Old Republic, there's a official BioWare Old Republic live stream kicking off in about an hour, where they're going to be diving into some story changes, talking about the 7.0 update and all the gameplay things, and, fingers crossed, releasing a new cinematic trailer. Because the Old Republic cinematic trailers are like the coolest thing. They've been re-releasing all the old ones in 4K over the last 2 weeks. And I kind of was suspicious that the whole thing was going to end with a brand new trailer. And we'll find out in a few hours here. I'm not sure if I will watch the live stream live because I am not finished with the story. And the live stream's going to focus on story, and I don't want to get spoilers because my gameplay, my playthroughs are going really well right now. And I don't know anything about what's happening next, and I love it. I'm on chapter 10 of Fallen Empire, and then I'm going to start Eternal Throne, and then Onslaught, and then hopefully be all caught up by the time Legacy of the Sith arrives. RMD Collective, hello there. I will be attending Celebration in Anaheim next year. I will be there, yes. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be my first time ever going to Star Wars Celebration. I cannot wait. And then once Celebration is over, I might just go to Galaxy's Edge since I'll already be in Anaheim. I've never done that before either. I'll be making a ton of content while I'm down there on the con floor. Maybe seeing a Kenobi trailer for the first time. You never know. All things, if everything goes well. But yeah, if you're going to be at Celebration, come find me and say hi. Please, I would love to meet everybody that watches the channel. That would be really, really fun. There's not a ton of Star Wars fans up in my neck of the woods, so I never get to have in-person conversations with people about Star Wars. So if you go to Celebration next year and you see my beard going through the crowd, come say hi. Totally fine. Darth Cadius, I think we will get an Old Republic movie. I think it is happening. It's been in a state of semi-production for years. It's one of the little placeholder movies that they've been developing since 2019 in case a big project like Rogue Squadron gets hamstringed the way it did, so they could just switch it in. The thing is, if suddenly they come up with a solution and Rogue Squadron gets revitalized, they're going to shelve Old Republic again and just put it back in that spot. So that's why there's a danger that it still might not get released, but they're working on it. You can guarantee that it exists out there in a drawer somewhere. There might even already be, there's not footage yet, but there's already a script, I'm sure. Rakonax, I understand that. It's this will be the first time that I'm going to Celebration because Anaheim happens to be the closest to me that Celebration has ever been. Normally, it's way too far away from me, so. A Clone Commando movie would be dope, actually. Old Keanu Reeves is Revan. Yep. If it's an Old Republic, if it's an Old Republic movie, it depends on the timeline, because if it's KOTOR, Keanu Reeves is Revan. If it's SWTOR, Keanu Reeves is Revan. I guess he's just a ghost. What am I saying? Death doesn't really matter to people like Revan. Especially if they give us the Shadow of Revan story. That would be cool. Yeah, no, I would be down. Of course, I'm already bracing to feel what the hell? These aren't my characters. Why isn't my personalized Jedi Knight up there on the screen? Because I always do that. I forget that, everyone creates their own character, dude. They don't all look like a green Twi'lek. In my head, I'm just no, my Jedi Knight is canon, you know? Cool, it's going to be, RMD, it's your first time at Celebration, too. I think it's going to be a blast. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope it doesn't get postponed again, because it got postponed last year, and that's the reason I was able to snag a ticket, because it sold out, and then they moved the date. And then they refunded a bunch of people, and then a small number of tickets went on sale for the new date. And that's how I was able to get one. But it was all very confusing. I don't think they would give Revan a definite gender in live action. Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. people like to say that like male Revan is canon, but not really. Not really, because none of the Revan material is canon besides the name Revan being a Sith Legion name, a Sith Trooper Legion in The Rise of Skywalker. That is literally the only instance of Revan being canon. So it's not. Like, the Old Republic isn't canon. It exists in this weird quasi-canon area that's like not quite Legends, but not quite full-blown canon. The High Republic is totally canon. If the High Republic wants to talk about Revan, who would have existed only a couple centuries ago at that point, that'll make it completely canon. But Jesse, you are absolutely correct. They don't have to give Revan a gender if they don't want to. That has not already been set in stone. No. Yeah, the Boba Fett series is going to be amazing. And maybe we can get a tie-in comic series from Dark Horse Comics. Because Dark Horse Comics does Boba Fett like nobody else. Like, War of the Bounty Hunters has been cool, but like Twin Engines of Destruction, like the old stories where he goes up against like Jodo Cast and everything, so good. I read somewhere that the KOTOR writer originally considered Revan female, and that's why Revan is referred to as a female first in KOTOR 2. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that Revan is referred to as a female first in KOTOR 2. I haven't played KOTOR 2 yet. I only just almost finished KOTOR 1. I'm one fight away from finishing KOTOR 1. Yeah, if they brought Dash Rendar back, it would be great. I feel like War of the Bounty Hunters would have been the perfect time to bring him back in somehow. Even if it's just a nod, like Kira and Crimson Dawn go to entreat with Black Sun, and Black Sun have like a Corellian smuggler in a cage. And we just know that it's Dash Rendar visually, but he's like not acknowledged. Yeah, Jesse, they make as many references as they possibly can in the Old Republic, and the same way that canon Star Wars is like picking and choosing little bits of Legends to bring back in, they do that with a lot of stuff from the Old Republic too. Like the Ravager weapon, the ancient weapon that Darth Barris uses to extract information from a Republic spy in the Sith Warrior class story. Totally canonized as an artifact of the Ascendants, which were an ancient race of like evil cultists in Dr. Aphra in the canon comic. They have the exact same artifact and a bunch of other ones like it. So that's canon now. In Mandalorian season 2, freaking Din Djarin and Grogu go to fucking Tython, you know? Like, Tython doesn't look like it does in the Old Republic, but the name of the planet exists now. It didn't have its 2 moons. It didn't have Ashla and Bogan in orbit when we see the Razor Crest going in there, but it's Tython nonetheless. So, in that way, little pockets of the Old Republic are canon, but the overall narrative hasn't been embraced by mainstream Star Wars. I think that's the best way to phrase it. Exactly. Dash Rendar is an old friend. Have I got a favorite Legends story? Oh man, there are so many really, really good ones. I would try and come up with a let's see. Yes, you know what? For Dark Horse Comics specifically in Legends, Star Wars Empire started off with I think it was a 5, maybe a 6 issue arc called Betrayal. And Betrayal was basically a Star Wars skin on the World War II story of Operation Valkyrie, where a bunch of German officers tried to assassinate Hitler, basically, because they thought that he was losing them the war and he was crazy and all this stuff. Well, they do that story. It's set on Coruscant, and a couple of Imperial Grand Moffs hatch a plan to assassinate Palpatine and assassinate Vader, because they're like, this weird Sith religion stuff, we don't get it, we don't like it, we want to just do this military empire thing. So they try to get rid of them, and it's awesome. It's awesome, just like palace intrigue, and like there's a lot of betrayals, brainwashed stormtrooper cadets that are only loyal to certain members of like the Imperial Constabulary. No, it's great. And then of course it's an opportunity for Vader to just flex and be like, your plotting and scheming is nothing. It's insignificant next to the power of the Force. That one's probably my favorite. Dark Empire and Heir to the Empire are those are two of probably the most famous and iconic. Dark Empire gets brought up a lot when people are talking about the sequels. There's a lot of parallels with the sequels. And story aside, I think Dark Empire has some of my favorite artwork from Dark Horse Comics. It's so like just vibrant and beautiful and neon. It's so colorful. Yeah, Dark Empire is a very good looking comic, if nothing else. Who do you want to see a comic about? And why is it Meeber Gascon? Because fuck me, that's why. Meeber Gascon. No, you know what? They weren't the worst. They were not the worst episodes. I actually quite enjoyed A Sunny Day in the Void. Because we got goddamn Gregor out of that. Gregor, who became one of like the 3 clones that mattered in Rebels. So there was a reason we sat through all that stuff. They gave us some significance in the end. And also that Rhydonium explosion at the end of the plot is just awesome. It's one of my favorite moments, actually. Hell yeah. Dark Empire is the reason you're a super fan today. How ironic. Jedi Outcast is the reason I'm a super fan today. Story where Darth Vader goes to the Snake God cult. Snake God cult. I remember what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of the issue, but I'm wondering now if that is kind of a tongue-in-cheek inspiration for the cult of Zildrog on Zakul in Knights of the Fallen Empire. Who have great outfits, by the way. I like their whole, like, biker gang, but long robes, leather thing they got going. It's very Mad Max. The old Marvel comics are great, and I think that's what I love so much about Dark Empire, is that it harkens back to the old, almost psychedelic level of coloring that they did in the 1977 Super Star Wars. Like, the sky can be pink, and the trees can be blue, and it doesn't matter. Like, you know, it's just colors are so arbitrary. The point is that it just has to be colorful. Almost like this crazy Jack Kirby level, and I love it. Star Wars today is very dark and gritty, because everything's dark and gritty, because everyone's got that Christopher Nolan disease. But back in the day, comics were vibrant and colorful and beautiful, and I've seen a lot of this. I've seen a lot of this same conversation taking place around Marvel's Eternals, which I haven't seen yet, but I've seen the trailers, and people have been comparing it to Jack Kirby's original artwork and showing how like colorless by comparison it seems, and it doesn't surprise me. That's kind of how aesthetics have traveled. Like, look at things like Dune, where there's maybe 5 colors in the whole movie. You know, like that's just kind of where we're headed. And that bubble's gonna burst, and eventually we're gonna start getting super colorful again. There are a couple filmmakers who push against that grain, like Thor Ragnarok, for example, was like deliberately hyper colorful because it was harkening back to the 70s. It had like a retro futurist vibe in the marketing, and the 70s is when these Marvel comics came about. So we just need to go back to that, in my opinion. But that's just my aesthetic, you know? Like, other people really go for the dark and gritty, and that's why it's so prevalent right now, is because it sells really well. Yes, recanonizing a bunch of people from the old Marvel comics, especially Valance, and that segues into what I'm talking about, because they brought Valance back, and he's here in this dark, gritty environment in a baby blue jumpsuit, and I love it. Bylert Valance, man. He's such a good character. He's a 1977 original, and he wears that stupid blue jumpsuit through all of his action. It's great. My fan cast for him would be someone like Henry Cavill, I think, would be perfect for a live-action Valance. We saw the fall of the Galactic Empire from Coruscant, and stormtroopers were brainwashed. That's the plot of Betrayal. Yeah, I think it's like 6 issues. It's awesome. The next time we have a slow Wednesday, and I'm short on comics, I'll bust out Betrayal, because that would be one that I'd really like to read again on Comics with Katarn. We'll do that. Yeah, Valance is an OG to the extreme. He's literally more OG than Boba Fett. Like, if you think about it. Because Marvel Comics started in 77, and Valance's first issue was like 44 or 45 later that same year. Empire Strikes Back didn't debut until 1978. If you're not counting that one parade that took place in George Lucas's hometown in California, where Boba Fett walked in the parade, technically Valance showed up on the scene before Boba did. It's kind of cool to think about. Domina Tag is also an OG. The Tag family in general. I love that the Tag Corp got built out of that little table. He's talking about squabbling bureaucracy. He's got terrible sideburns. Turns out he's really rich, and he comes from a powerful family. And I dig that. Oh, Jackson, of course, is an OG, and they brought back Jackson. Well, Jackson never left, if you're enough of a weirdo, like I am. Yeah. That's, Raconex, yeah, Valance showed up in Star Wars before Vader was Luke's father. Like, before that was even established. Nuclearis, then you should read Betrayal from Star Wars Empire, because it's absolutely a 100% Imperial perspective story. I don't think there's a single rebel character in the whole thing. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Valance does predate the parade, I'm pretty sure, because that was also 78. And Valance's first appearance issue in Star Wars was in 77. Darth Vader versus Moff Gideon? Darth Vader from across the room, just with his hand. Like, he just choked Gideon before he even, like, got out of his chair. Like, it's a non-fight. Vestara committed mass murder. The only way she gets redeemed is if she dies in the act, like Vader. Like, there's a couple characters who do that, where, like, they get a redemption arc even after doing, like, terrible, terrible things, like mass murder. I think Kylo Ren is one of those as well. I know a lot of people are really pissed that he died at the end of 9, but, like, yeah, but he killed Han Solo, bro. He's gotta die. He's gotta die. I don't care. He has to die. Like, I will let him have his redemption if he gets it posthumously, but he's not allowed to cavort around the galaxy afterwards and have a life. That's not how that works. What would I have wanted in a sequel trilogy? A broad question, I know. Well, see, the thing is that, like, I don't really have big problems with the sequel trilogy. I'm fine with what we got. What I would have like had personally tailored for me, a lot of people wouldn't have liked, though. Like, I would have wanted the New Jedi Order book series to be made into movies, and I would have wanted the Yuuzhan Vong invasion, and all of that, you know? Like Traitor by Matt Stover, where Jason is just, like, trapped on a terraformed Coruscant for the entire fucking book, and nothing really happens. It's just philosophical conversations about the Force with Vergir. I would have made a 3-hour movie of that. That would have been my episode 8, and people would have hated it. They would have been like, "What is this boring crap?" But that's the movie that I would have wanted. So I don't think that Star Wars is one size fits all, and I think that there's always going to be someone who has a problem with what eventually gets delivered. But I would have, personally, if I'd made those movies, I would have just taken the New Jedi Order series and been like, okay, Star Wars Episode 7, Vector Prime, you know? All the way up to Star Wars Episode 9, The Unifying Force. That's how I would have done it. And I would have just squished everything in there. But you know what? All you have to do is you take the first book, take the middle book, and the last book, and then all those books in between are Disney Plus shows that connect the movies. That's what I would have done. Yeah, Star Wars has different flavors, and you can't say that one flavor is more valid than another just because it's what your taste is. Like, no. No one, including me, including any of those big names that talk to you on YouTube, have the right to tell you what you should or shouldn't like about Star Wars. That's only up to you, you know? I'm still surprised we get the Vong crabs back too. I don't think we're ever getting the Vong canonized again, but I think that this new threat in the Thrawn Ascendancy books, the Grisk, is like the closest we'll get. Originally, the Death Star was built as a contingency for if the Vong should invade. Like, Palpatine was scared of that. But at the end of the day, yes, I absolutely appreciate the New Jedi Order. That's really what, like I was reading Star Wars books before the New Jedi Order came out. I started with Heir to the Empire. My cousin came over one day with a bunch of Star Wars books, and he was like, "Hey, you know there's more, right, than just the movies?" And he handed me Heir to the Empire, and I went crazy. But yeah, I waited in line for Vector Prime when it dropped, and it knocked my socks off. Like, R.A. Salvatore, what he did to Chewbacca, I wasn't okay. I wasn't okay for a very long time. Some of my favorite characters emerged from that. Like, a lot of the Vong I thought were super, super cool. Like, Savong La, the War Master. Nom and Nor, being all creepy, like, incognito, living in the galaxy for, like, 40 fucking years? What a bastard. Who does that? He's a great bad guy. Blaze Cap, I highly recommend him. I highly recommend him. They don't disappoint. There's a lot of surprises. There's a lot of pretty brutal deaths of people that are beloved that you would not expect. And R.A. Salvatore has said in a lot of issues after the fact that he regrets killing Chewbacca, and that the fan backlash to that was so insane. I think that might have been one of the first times that we really got to see the ugliness that kind of dwells beneath the surface of like mainstream Star Wars fandom. Like he was sent the most horrible things because he killed off a beloved Wookiee in his book. And at the time, you know, we were hearing about this and we were like, wow, that's so ridiculous. I can't believe people are like that. Glad most Star Wars fans aren't like that. Fast forward 20 years. Yeah, exactly. Well, it wasn't, the way I understand it, it was an executive mandate in that they wanted to kill a main named character to hook everyone into this new series, get everyone's attention. And he said, okay, well, what about this guy? He was told no. What about this one? He was told no. The only person that he was allowed to kill was Chewbacca. But from my understanding, R.A. Salvatore did not want to kill Chewie, and he was like his 6th or 7th choice after everyone else got rejected. Yeah, they were going to kill Luke at first, which I think is insane. How do you kill Luke at the beginning of your... But anyway, yeah, no. New Jedi Order, can't recommend it enough. I got the feeling Moff Gideon is somehow connected to Thrawn. Do you guys think that's possible? I guess it could be possible. I mean, the thing about Thrawn is that he's been gone for a long time, and unless something changes timeline-wise in the Ahsoka series, that's gonna stay the case. That's gonna stay. And also, if the Ahsoka series it shows Ezra and Thrawn return from the unknown regions, then why would she still be fighting her way, like fighting the Magistrate to get this information about where is Thrawn, all the way in the Mandalorian times? Mercedes Vernato's back. Sasha Banks, awesome, definitely down. She was a great addition. Anyone who gets broken through a table, or with their breaks Boba through a table, like, they're good in my book. It's always awesome seeing people use like, she was totally using like wrestling moves, like with just like the jetpack helping. That's cool. Yeah, Jedi. That's exactly what I'm saying. The outrage if they had killed Luke in Jedi in Vector Prime, I think it would have gone too far, and people would not have continued to read the books. Chewbacca was the perfect choice because everyone was outraged, but they had to know what happened next. They had to see these assholes who just dropped a moon on my Wookiee get theirs. And it was brilliant marketing strategy because you had to read like 14, 15 books to see them get theirs. And it was really sad. It was really sad watching Han Solo kind of like slowly go to pieces and fall apart and grieve for multiple novels before he finally got his shit together. It's really sad. Talking about Star Wars being for everyone because there's something for literally everyone in all genres, which makes Star Wars really unique. What do you like in a Star Wars story? I like slices of life. I feel like we've gotten a lot of epic, big, sweeping stories that like the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance. Like, okay, that's cool. But I really like the sequence, for example, when Rey goes and like sells her junk for portions and then goes and makes some bread and eats it and hangs out in the crawler. Like, it takes up so much. It's a pretty long scene for how little that matters in the plot happens there. But it's all establishing the world building and it makes it feel more authentic. I call stuff like that street level Star Wars, where Darth Vader doesn't care what Rey has for lunch, you know, like it's such a small, minute thing, but we as the audience, we really care because now we know what it's like to sit there and eat lunch on Star Wars. Like, it's for me, it's all about the immersion. So the things that I want to see in a Star Wars movie is I want to see small, meditative moments where there isn't much of anything going on, but you really feel drawn into the environment and the world and the planet. And then references. I'm all about that continuity and seeing like something from a comic referenced in a game, and something from a game referenced in a show, and the show in the movie. Like seeing the Ghost at the Battle of Scarif. That's my shit right there. Chopper rolling by on Yavin, like those little references coming together. That's truly what I love about Star Wars. And then, of course, you know, for me, it's the aesthetics. It's Doug Chiang and Ralph McQuarrie's awesome visual language that they created. That retro futurist, but still kind of streamlined. Yeah. As long as a Star Wars project has all three of those elements, like, I'm there. I'm there, and I'm enthusiastic, and I know I'm going to have a good time. Gonk Bricks, hello there. You didn't miss much. We've just been chatting about the news that Dark Horse Comics has officially returned. Well, next year, spring of 22, they will return to all ages Star Wars storytelling, picking up the reins where IDW is going to leave off with Star Wars Adventures, High Republic Adventures, and if I just like manifest this and throw it out into the world, Star Wars Legacy Part 3. That's not confirmed at all. I'm just like trying to manifest it, but you know. Yeah, Nuclearis, I'm not coming up with anything that no one else has said before. Like it's a universal. I feel like a lot of people love that. Like it's the escapism. Cuz like honestly, how many of us would rather live in the Star Wars galaxy? Like I definitely would. And I don't even need to be a Jedi. I'd be okay with being like the Aqualish driving the dump truck in Bad Batch who's just vibing, listening to some lo-fi like while all hell's breaking loose around him. I'd be fine with being that guy cuz it means I get to drive a flying car for work. And that's 5-year-old me would be satisfied with just that alone, you know? The Soda Man, hello there. How's it going? I would be a nerf herder. It's a simple life, you know? It's a peaceful life. It's exactly like you don't necessarily have to be an epic hero, a larger than life personality. I wouldn't want to be a stormtrooper. Getting stuck on guard duty somewhere, that would suck. Unless it's Scarif. That'd be fun for a while. You'd only have... if you're stationed on Scarif, you only have one bad day. But yeah, no. It's the escapism. It's just everyone's life is not as cool as it would be if you lived in Star Wars. I don't care how cool your life is. It would be cooler if you lived in Star Wars. And so everyone's able to sort of set down the troubles of the day and fall into an episode of The Mandalorian or watch the prequels. And like, it transports you back to when you first watched it. And you stop worrying about what's going to happen next in your real life because you're worrying about what's going to happen with Obi-Wan and Anakin when they turn the next corner and there's more battle droids. Like, it's just a fun, like, I don't know. There's a childlike wonder to it that I am really grateful that has never just worn off of me. I still get the same level of enthusiasm when I see a trailer as I did when I was 7 years old. I don't know. I hold that close to me and I hope I never lose it because that's what allows me to just be so excited about this when I'm like a grizzled old man in my 30s, but I still turn into a child every time I get new Star Wars, and I hope that never ends. I hope I'm doing this when I'm an old man, you know? Gonk Droid maintenance, it is the most glorious job in the galaxy. That's what I would do. I would be a Gungan mechanic who works on Gonk Droids. And then after work, I just like, you know, travel down to 1313 and have a blue milk and just hang out. That's the life, you know? Simple, but satisfying. Anyway, that's pretty much all that I've got for the live stream today. I just wanted to go live real quick and talk about the Dark Horse Comics news. And we have that official BioWare live stream coming up in just about an hour here. Where we're going to get a bunch of story information and fingers crossed, a new Star Wars Old Republic cinematic trailer. How fucking cool would that be? If we do get that, I'm definitely going to react to it right here. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this little chat. Planning to go live and have more chats of this type every time we do get some Star Wars breaking news. So stay tuned. It'll always be happening in the mornings right here on Kyle Katarn. Thanks for watching. Pay no attention to the troll that's peeing. I don't know where this wallpaper came from. Uh-oh. Yikes. All right, well, thanks for watching. And as always, may the Force be with you.